Hi everyone, I'm Lisa and welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio. Today's Christmas card is a little twist on the traditional colors. Red and green are awesome, but I think there's some other great opportunities for you to use other colors in your holiday cards. I received this idea as a tweak from something I've seen on Pinterest, and I'm excited to show you how I've put it together. A beautiful color palette of Night of Navy, including the Sweet Sugar Plum. And I don't know if you can appreciate it until we get closer to the stamp table, but there's a lot of bling on here, including metallic threads. I'm going to introduce a new accessory to you, the sponge brayers. Let's get over to the stamp table and let's get started. Now that we're close up, you can see the sponging and how it's resist this embossed paper. It's really pretty, isn't it? I can't wait to show you how to put it together. I'll start over. Now that we're a little closer, you can actually see the resist of the embossed paper with the sponging. I'm excited to show you how quickly this will come together. Remember that all the cutting dimensions for today's project will be on my blog. I'm going to include a link here inside the description of the video below, so it'll be easy for you to find it. The cardstock is Night of Navy, 5.5 by 8.5, and I'm going to fold that in half. I'm a big fan of my bone folder to get that nice crisp edge. I've then cut a piece of Sweet Sugar Plum cardstock, as well as the piece of Fancy Frost Designer Series paper. Now I'm going to try to turn this a little bit and see if you can see the pattern. It is just stunning. The great thing about this is that this package includes numerous different patterns. I have the supply list over on my blog with some pictures, so it'll be easy for you to click on and take a look. Really pretty. Now to get the color on there, of course, I did use the ink pad. That's the Sweet Sugar Plum ink, and you have to love with Stampin' Up! That everything is color coordinated, so there's no thought process involved about mixing tones. So I'm opening this up, and you might think I used a sponge, but I didn't. I used one of the sponge brayers. Now, you can get this in a little package, and it comes with an extra refill for it, and you're just going to roll it on your ink pad. So you're going to see here, I'm just going to roll it on here to load some ink. And you can see I used it before with the first card. And then I just used it like a rolling pin. And I'll be honest, I wasn't really particular about where I started and stopped because it just added credence to that worn look. So I'm going to start and just roll. And as I add more color, you're going to be able to see that some areas are going to be darker than others. If you don't like the start and stop marks, you can start off the paper and then roll across. You'll get a more even tone. But I was really after something very whimsical and very splattered. And I was looking for a higher concentration of color across the center than I was on the edges. So there you go. You can kind of just rub back and forth. Now I'm satisfied with that, and if you don't like the roll marks, remember what I said, you can go back over, and that'll just give you a real whimsical look. And you can see how the ink has resisted the embossed area of the card. I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to bring in a small strip of Whisper White cardstock. I'm using the words from the Star of Light stamp set, and there's just lots of wonderful Christmas images in here, but I chose this one, Star of Wonder, Star of Night, and it's photopolymer, which makes it perfect when you're using greetings because you can get them nice and straight. And I'm going to go ahead and ink that in the Night of Navy, which coordinates with our cardstock, and I'm going to stamp that here on that strip of white cardstock here. Okay, and there we've got our words. And now I'm going to put these two pieces together. So I'm going to put my snail adhesive on the back. I'm going to mount that designer paper to that layer of Sweet Sugar Plum. And I like to rub from the back because boy, oh boy, I always have inky fingers. So that's going to go here. And I'm going to mount this here on my card. I used dimensionals because I wanted a little extra lift. So I'm going to add my dimensionals in each of the four corners of my card. And I often put one in the center. The reason being is when it gets through the mail and it goes through the meter, it kind of gets a little dip in it. And I find this keeps it a little bit more balanced. You're going to notice that I'm pushing my fingernail down on the dimensional. I have found that this lifts the edges, making it easier to get the paper off. I have short nails, so this really helps me a lot. And then this is going to go here in the center. Again, I am not at all concerned about the darker and the lighter areas. If you are, you just keep going over it. You're going to see when I'm finished here what it's going to look like. The next step I'm going to work on is I'm actually going to add some silver thread. So I'm going to set this aside. This is that greeting. I'm going to turn this upside down, and I'm going to add a dimensional off to one side. I'm going to take the paper backing off because I want it to be ready. And then I'm using my silver metallic thread. And you're probably wondering, what is this? This is a little tiny ball of poster tack or poster putty. It's non-marring, and I find it's wonderful to hold down the end of this metallic thread because you can actually see how fine this is. So I'm going to use my fingers as a guide, and I'm going to leave a little tail here, and I'm going to just wind up some circles. And when I'm happy with it, I'm not even worried about it just being kind of messy. And you can see I've got a little roll of it here. And I'm going to cut myself an end. And I'm going to move this piece over. And I'm going to attach this one end to the dimensional. So what's going to happen is now I have a little spiral of thread going behind there. Now don't worry, we're going to add another dimensional here to kind of tack that down. And I'm going to add one more on this end just so that tag is balanced. Remember we talked about that going through the postage meter. I pick that up, and one more step. I am going to add some of this beautiful shimmery glittery ribbon. This is in that same product of Sweets in the holiday catalog. And I'm going to give this a cut on the end, and this one looks pretty good. And now you may need to add a few more dimensional pieces. You're going to see how I've cut the dimensional in half because obviously that's going to consume some of that stickiness. I have another one right here. I'm going to put that one here. And just for the sake of it, I'm going to stick one in the middle. I'm going to release the paper backing. Boy, I love dimensionals. I go through lots and lots of them. And I love the way make my project look all fancy and finished. So I'm going to set that here in the center, and I'm going to press. Now, this is going to extend past my card a little bit. Do you see that? I might have trouble getting that in the envelope. So I'm going to give this a tiny haircut and flick off some of that little bit of ribbon that's there. Now, these little whimsical ends, if they bother you, just give them a little snip. I'm usually not bothered by them, to be honest. And we're almost done. Let's add some sequins and some rhinestones just to play up that shimmery ribbon. So these are the fancy frost sequins that coordinate with the suite of product. And I am going to use this pickup tool. No, this is not sold by Stampin' Up. Not yet. We keep hoping. It's a silhouette product. I get asked a lot about it. It's got a tacky tip, very much like that tacky stuff I just showed you that I use with the thread. So it's inside here, making it easy to pick up. So I'm going to choose a couple in the same color category. So I've got one here, and I've got a lighter one here. And this is a rose color. Isn't this pretty? So I love sequins because I love shimmer. So I'm going to just kind of position those where I want them. I think I'm going to do this and this. I'm going to put the cap on that. I don't want to spill those. Reaching for my fine tip glue, I'm going to open this up. And I'm going to do a two-handed thing here. Now, if you can't do this, don't fret. But I'm just going to lift with one, add a dot of glue. Now, this fine tip glue is liquid. And if you squeeze too much, you're going to have it all over the place. So take your time. You just need a drop. It's stronger than it looks for these sequins. And then I'm going to do another one up here. And attach that one. This tool is really handy, isn't it? And finally, one down here. Now, if you don't have a pickup tool, let me give you a couple tips on what you can do. Grab yourself a toothpick and put a little bit of liquid glue on the end. I use the Tombow multi-purpose glue. Let me show you what it looks like. Elmer's glue actually works as well, but if you let the toothpick dry, that glue is going to stay tacky on the end, and you can pick up your sequins with it. Yeah, that's just a home remedy that you're going to find very useful. Now, that's probably enough bling for a lot of you, maybe most of you, but not me, because I love rhinestones. So I'm going to grab my paper piercing tool. That's going to help me pick these up off the sheet because they have glue dots already on the back. So I'm going to choose one here, and I'm just kind of making sure that I'm pulling it off the strand because these are connected. And I'm going to put one here, and then I'm going to choose a medium size one because they come 3 sizes on here, and you get a bunch of them. So this is just a great value. And then finally, I'm going to choose a large one here, and I'm going to place that down here on my card. So there. Simple, 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 but yet really pretty. And here's what I like about it. It's not your typical color scheme for the holidays. I will tell you, I've started making Christmas cards in June. I know, June. And I'm a little over red and green, although I love it because it's nostalgic. But I just love a little change every now and then. This was the one we made today. This was my original. Remember to head over to my blog and check out all the dimensions there for cutting, as well as the pictures for today's project. You can find supplies there as well. And while you're there, check out my online classes tab. I've got ways you can download PDF tutorials and also a way for you to stamp with me in the mail from home. Thanks so much for joining me, everyone. I'll see you next time. Have a great day.